what are some fun ways and unique ways that your team has stayed engaged with one another over the past year?
Yeah, I think one of the best tactics that we have implemented in our meetings is before we dive into, what we're doing and around the horn, we really talk about the cool things that we're watching, reading, cooking, doing. And it's just been a great way to, have a glimpse into the team's life as well as get some amazing recommendations of more content to consume. So that's been good. We also have been, celebrating whether it's, we had somebody on the team who went out on mat leave. So we celebrated a baby shower for her, or birthdays or holiday parties. So just those moments where we're able to just like come together and not talk about work has been really special.
That's great. I feel like a lot of people are brought closer together, even virtually. You know, you might see people more and celebrate the wins even more now that we have this like virtual way to do it, you know, as opposed to everyone rushing around
Absolutely.
all the time. So that's great to hear.
Absolutely.
And shifting to how you're thinking about your customer, how are you thinking about them now and also in this new normal that we're living in right now?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is we have seen that we kind of have a new customer. A lot of our riders are people who would formerly take public transportation. So buses or subways, and now they are turning to Lyft because they feel a lot more safe in a Lyft. And we have a ton of health and safety precautions. If you've taken a Lyft recently, you'll see that you have to, wear a mask. You have to check all these boxes and make sure
Right.
that you haven't been exposed to anybody with COVID. So we're seeing that. We're also seeing, of course, like there's not business travel right now. So we don't have as many business travelers as we once did. I think the new normal. I think that we will continue to see these like essential workers and people who are opting in to take Lyft instead of public transportation. I think we'll continue to see them. We just did a big segmentation study to really dive into this to see who our new rider is, because it's definitely changed over the past year.
Very cool. Yeah. And to that point, you're trying to attract a lot of new customers, I guess, otherwise wouldn't use you guys. So what channels are you leveraging more this year than in previous years, maybe to get like a younger consumer or someone that previously hadn't thought about using a Lyft in the past?
Yeah, so we just launched our Lyft branded TikTok. So we're really excited about TikTok as a platform. We dabbled in it a little bit last year. We did an influencer campaign on TikTok, specifically around our Get Out the Vote campaign in November. And that was really solely influencer work where the content lived on influencer channels. We hadn't launched our Lyft brand channel yet. And so now we have a full strategy in place, and we launched about 2 weeks ago, and we've been repurposing some of our undercover Lyft content, which I don't know if you've seen it before, but it's where we have celebrity drivers pretending to be Lyft drivers and picking up passengers. So we've taken some of that, the archives of content that we have, reformatted them, and we've been putting them out on the Lyft channel, and it's been great. We actually had an episode with Gronk, and we timed it
Yeah,
perfectly.
very timely right now with
Yes,
everything.
so timely. And so, again, we just launched a channel, so it went from 0 to over 60,000 followers. In the past week and a half or so, which has been really exciting to watch. We also are dabbling in some of the challenges. So Doja Cat and Saweetie have a song out called Best Friends. And in that song, one of the lyrics mentions Lyft. And so we, got in with the challenge and had influencers, do the dance, and we repurpose some of that content on our channels as well. So I think, with TikTok, we've been able to be a lot more playful and experimental. So it's the rest of the year, we definitely are going to continue focusing on it.
Yeah, definitely. The music angle really works well for TikTok, you know, and I love the idea of having, undercover celebrities, almost like an undercover boss or undercover billionaire type theme to it, and then surprising people. I bet people are just like so shocked when they see it's Gronk or like one of their favorite
Yeah.
celebrities, driving them around. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then how do you continue to focus on the silver linings of the past year?
Yeah, I think personally, this has been sort of a moment to reset. The whole world is on pause. And, in the old days, I was traveling every week for work and, moving at 100 miles per hour. And it's been nice to just sort of be able to like reconnect with myself. I've been doing a lot of yoga and meditating and spending a lot of time with my family. And so I think the silver lining is that. Also, my husband and I were able to relocate to Miami, where we have a lot of family here. So being able to, watch my 2-year-old niece grow up the past year has been really exciting. So it's kind of that silver lining.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure the weather's nice too right now, especially in the wintertime being out in Miami. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and in what ways has COVID impacted your marketing strategy and or your transformation plans for 2021?
Yeah, it's crazy to think back a year ago because I was at Sundance producing our entire activation at Sundance, and all of those IRL events that we had planned for the year obviously did not happen. So I
Right.
think I think last year was definitely that um, a moment of really pivoting and figuring out, what we're going to do. And this year in 2021, we're kind of used to it already. And so I would say that we are a lot more focused than we have been in the past, and we're really honing in on our big campaign moments because quite frankly we don't have as many resources as we once did. And so it's just important for us all to come together across the marketing org and really focus. um, so I would say, that I'm saying no to a lot of opportunities that in previous years I would have said yes to. I also think that, what my focus of, I manage all of our influencer partnerships, and focusing on influencers is more important than ever now. And especially during, peak COVID when everything was shut down, a lot of the productions were shut down. And so it's hard to get content, but we were really able to turn to influencers in order to get that content. And so I think that's something that has been woven into our strategy, for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like 2020 was a year for you and a lot of companies where you kind of like were finding your sea legs a little bit. No one kind of knew what was going to happen from, one week to the next. And it sounds
Right.
like this year you've been able to kind of like hone in on influencers and ways to circumvent, yeah, the production,
Yeah.
track and do things at home and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that's great to hear.
Yeah. I mean, it's still hard because, you know, even though we kind of know what's going on, it's still like in Q4, like will we be back to doing IRL events? I talked to a lot of event producers, and they're banking on Q4, but who knows? It's so hard to make that bet. And so for us, we've kind of pivoted away from that, and it's not part of the strategy. But 2022, hopefully, we'll be back.
Definitely, definitely. And shifting back to you personally, do you have a professional mentor? And do you mentor the next generation at all?
Yeah, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I love mentorship on both ends. So I always like to have a mentor within the company that I'm working at and outside of the company. So when I was at Google, I always had that structure, and now at Lyft, the same thing. And I've been really lucky. I have about 5 amazing female mentors that I turn to. They are in a variety of professions and have various life experiences, but it really allows me to learn from them and get their perspective. And I really find, I, of course, I ask them advice, but I really have an ongoing relationship with them. It's not just about me asking them for advice. It's definitely like a two-way street. Um, and then as a mentor myself, I have been mentoring with two different organizations. One is called Home from College, where it really focuses on connecting recent college grads, especially during this time, to mentors. So that has been a lot of fun. And then I'm also a mentor for Connect Her, which is more women to women mentorship. So yeah, I really encourage anybody out there who, does not have a mentor, definitely to seek out a mentor if you can. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's so important to have, especially now as we're kind of limited to working from home. And that's a great point that you make. I mean, you learn probably from the people that you mentor, and your mentors learn from you. It's that two-way
Sure.
street, where it's like
Yeah,
every day you're bouncing ideas off of each other. And yeah, I mean, I think the college angle, I couldn't imagine graduating right now and having to look for a job and that kind of thing, and
right,
the pressures of everything. So it's great that you're
right.
doing that.
Absolutely. And then, finally getting a job and starting remotely and not having that culture and being able to, talk to people in the cafeteria or in the hallways or the elevator. I think it's just a challenge right now.
Definitely, definitely. And have you yourself found a way to keep your work and home life separate? I know for a lot of people, there's that fine line of, working out of their living room or their home office, and it's just like
Right.
work kind of follows you everywhere.
Yeah.
So do you have a current routine? And if so, do you find that it helps you maintain that work-life balance?
Yeah, I definitely have a routine. So I wake up in the morning and I always do some sort of exercise. Luckily, as I said, I'm here in Miami, so I can run outside when it's snowing everywhere else. So I do some sort of fitness, and then I make sure that in the evenings that I try to block off my calendar so that I don't get scheduled with meetings after 6 p.m. And that's really because I want to be able to spend time with my husband and really disconnect and have that time. Because again, we're both working from home. We're both here in our apartment, and even though we're here all day, we're not necessarily spending time together all day. So I also try to limit my screen time after 6 p.m. I turn my phone on a grayscale. During last summer, I was finding that I was having a lot of trouble sleeping. And I started doing these things like limiting my screen time and the grayscale, and it really helped with that.
What is the
And
grayscale? Is that like where basically it takes away the blue light after a certain time at night?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I even went so far, I got blue blocking glasses,
Oh,
because
interesting. I didn't know you
I
had
feel
those.
like we're here on the computer all day long now. We're
Right.
not doing as many in-person meetings, and then, of course, I'm always on my phone, on Instagram and TikTok, and having to know what's going on, so it just constant, you know, light in my eyes. So, yeah, done that. I think something else that helps me separate like the work life balance is I try not to do any work in my bedroom. Um, I that's the place for sleeping, and so
Mhm.
I don't do any work there, and I change up where I work during the day. So right now I'm in my office, but later on I'll probably work from the kitchen. Um, and then the last thing that I try to do is back pre-COVID, I would never really take a proper lunch break. I would always just grab
Right.
lunch and sit at my desk and work. And I make sure now that I take a lunch break. And I'll either make lunch and I'll, just not not look at my computer for those 20 minutes or so, or try to sit outside, just kind of like switch it up so that it doesn't seem like I'm trapped in my office the whole day long.
Right. Yeah, that's really important. I mean, I think we've all been guilty of that, right? Where the workday just kind of keeps going and going, and you're like, oh, I forgot to eat like a lunch, take a lunch
Right.
break, or maybe you had a few bites, and then you just didn't really unplug for that hour, and it
Yeah,
might increase your productivity if you actually took that, 30 minutes or hour lunch break, walk away from
totally.
it, come back. And I'm just curious, what kind of workouts do you do? Is it running, biking? Do you do like a yoga meditation, or what kind of virtual
Yeah.
classes are you into?
Yeah. So I run a lot. I also living here in Miami, I have a bicycle. And so I'm able to bike around, which is a lot of fun. And again, I'm very lucky and grateful that there are workout classes that are opened here and they're outdoors. So I've been doing Soul Cycle sometimes outside, which is really nice. But yeah, I switch about. I do yoga too a lot. That's been amazing. I do Peloton yoga, which is great. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, I do Peloton too. I just did they have like a Peloton like running app, so I just went for a
yeah,
run and did like the
yeah,
biking and yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's great. Yeah, I noticed a lot of gyms have kind of shifted everything outside. So like we be driving around and it's like a parking lot and it's full of people doing like dumbbells or
right.
group classes and that kind of thing. So it's
Yeah,
really cool to
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Nice. And how has your leadership style changed and adapted to the world of virtual that we're living in? And do you have any tips that you can share with other marketing leaders who are looking to inspire and stay connected with their virtual teams?
Yeah, I think it's more important than ever to really be in touch and in tune with your team's emotions. Like the world has been so crazy, from COVID to politics to everything's going on this past year. And so I think it's really important to be able to put the work aside and say, hey, how are you doing? Um, do you want to take this day off? Do you want to, let's just do you want to just talk? I think showing your vulnerability is also, um, you know, really important during this time. I think, and I'm even victim of this, you know, working from home and not really being able to travel, um, you don't take vacation anymore. And
Right.
I think it's really important to encourage your team to take a day off. I think something that leadership at Lyft um, did around the holidays is they gave us extra days off because they saw that people weren't taking days off, and so they made mandatory days off, which I thought was really great. And I think just encouraging your team to do that, and self care, like a staycation type day, I think is really important.
Definitely. And I mean, there's probably so many places in our own cities that we haven't had time to explore,
Right, right,
So it's like even just get out, maybe book a hotel room for a night in your city
exactly,
and change
exactly.
up your environment. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's a really good idea. And then also, I think, yeah, connecting with your fellow employees on like a personal level as well, maybe where you didn't have time to do that because you were
yeah,
always traveling, and no one really stopped to say, how are you doing? Because we're kind of
right,
all connected in this weird world right now in the same way. So I
right,
mean,
right.
everyone's coping differently, right? But we're all in it
Exactly.
together. So
Exactly. And
yeah,
yeah, with us, we're all spread out all over the country. So some of my colleagues are in LA, some are in San Francisco, and I'm in Miami, New York, and every state is handling things differently, and
right.
people have different levels of comfort on doing things. And so I think it's just so important, like as we've been saying, just to check in with your team.
Definitely, definitely. And as a leader, you're always developing your abilities, right? So what are you looking to improve on this year? And then what skills would you like your marketing team as a whole to develop together?
Yeah. So with working from home, there's obviously so many distractions, whether it's my dog barking or my husband talking too loud on his Zoom call, whatever it is. And so I personally have been really focused on being an active listener. I think whether it's, you're like having a one-on-one with somebody or 50 people on the call, I think it's really easy to get that Zoom fatigue and like zone out, be distracted. And so I've just been really trying to make sure that there's no distractions. Even something that's been helping me is taking notes. Even I never take notes in a notebook anymore. It's all, I type them, but now I'm actually writing notes in a notebook to make sure that I'm focused and paying complete attention and really actively listening. So I think that's something that I am ever working on. And I think, for my team, I think something that I've been encouraging the rest of the team is really to celebrate each other's wins. I think it's hard enough in normal times to celebrate wins, and now that we're not together and we're virtual, I think it's so important to share these wins cross functionally. So, I encourage the team to post on the broader marketing Slack channel about their wins, and make sure that they get heard and seen.
Yeah, that's great. I know for me too, it's like even if you just get an encouraging email on a win, a one-off from
Right,
somebody, or just yeah, on the Slack channel as a whole, it just really helps because you don't have that moment where you're walking by in the hallway to say, hey, congratulations on this, or so it's
right,
great to do that digitally.
absolutely.
Um, and then can you tell us a little bit more about Lyft's recent partnership with Anthem, JP Morgan, and United Way to launch a universal vaccine access campaign?
Yeah, so this is really exciting. We have always been a mission driven company, and we always really take actions around our impact work and really stand for something. And so this year we're focused on giving people access to transportation so that they can actually get to the vaccine locations. So we know that in a normal year, over 5.8 million people do not go to a doctor's appointment or to the hospital because they lack access to transportation. And obviously, this is not a normal year. So we announced at the end of last year that we would be partnering with Anthem Chase and United Way to provide 60 million rides to low income, uninsured, and at risk communities. And so this is going to be rolled out, over the next couple of months, obviously, as the vaccine rollout continues. And we're really excited, from a marketing point of view. This is going to be our main focus, across Q1 and Q2, and really spreading the word about what we're doing. So more news to come on this.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of that is dependent too on the rollout of the vaccine. I guess you're probably like following the news as closely as we are, right? It's like we
Yeah,
don't really know exactly the age parameters. I guess 65 and plus for the most part are covered nationwide, but I guess
right,
it's going to vary from state to state, right? So
right.
do you guys have like a plan for how you're going to target different states or maybe different areas with low income where maybe people don't have access to the vaccine?
Yeah, great question. So that's where our amazing partners come in. So United Way will be able to really help like target this, and we'll provide the transportation, but they're going to be able to help direct this to make sure that those that really need are getting the rides.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And then going back to, just kind of the self-care thing, because that's really, really important right now. I was just curious, what are you doing as far as, meal prep and are you ordering in a lot? Are you ordering, I know people do like a lot of like HelloFresh or Blue Apron. Are you cooking a lot now? Just kind of
Yeah.
curious on what you're doing.
Yeah. So it's funny because when like I lived in New York for the past 7 years, and in New York, it's a running joke with my husband that like he was like, I didn't know you knew how to cook because I never would cook. We would always order
Always
in.
too busy, right? To
Yeah, and
spend like
it's
an
always
hour meal prepping.
yeah, in New York, it's you can order anything at any time, and it's so easy. But Miami, the delivery down here is not, up to par. It's not like New York, and so I cook almost every night. I'm still trying to figure out, like the meal prepping, but
Mhm.
we cook a lot of seafood and try to be as healthy as we can. But yeah, it's been fun. I have an Instapot, so I've been mastering the Instapot, which has been good.
Nice. Yeah.
What about you?
Crock pots are great too. Like I just mastered making like chili. It's like you put it on for,
Right,
6 hours and just let it cook the whole day. It's so great to
right,
have, especially when you're home.
right.
Um, yeah, and I know you mentioned too, talking to employees about what they're doing for fun, what they're watching on TV. Do you have any like favorite shows that you're into right now? Like, are you binge watching anything on Netflix or Disney Plus or anything like that now that you have a little more time?
Yeah,
Traveling?
we we constantly are binge watching shows. So let's see. We recently finished Mandalorian on Disney Plus.
So great. Yep.
Yeah, so good. Season 2 was incredible. Um, I of course watched Bridgerton, which was
I
on
haven't
Netflix.
seen that. I've heard a lot about it. I need to check
Yeah,
that out.
it's kind of mindless and fun and a great period piece. Um, so I recommend it. And we watched Lupin on Netflix, which is like it was a French show and then it's dubbed over in English. Um, I really like that. And we recently, on Sunday, we watched the Britney documentary, the New York Times Britney
Oh
documentary.
yeah.
Yeah, which I also highly recommend. I wanted more from it, but I thought it was really good, and really told the backstory of um, Britney and her dad and the conservatorship. Uh, so those are the things that we have been watching recently.
Yeah, it really gets into like her backstory and then everything that happened in like '08 and everything with like the
Right, right.
meltdown. It's cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
the meltdown.
Yeah. And the recovery. And it seems like she's doing better now. So that's good.
Yeah, let's hope so. But free
Yeah.
Britney.
Yeah. So you mentioned you were in New York prior, now you're down in Miami. So are you a sports fan, or you or your husband, are you guys into football or basketball? And have you switched teams? Are
Well,
you originally from Miami?
definitely, we are Heat fans. Um, my husband is going to the game tonight, which is crazy.
Awesome.
They have COVID sniffing dogs at all the games now. To
Wow.
which is wild.
I didn't know that dogs could like pick up a COVID scent. Totally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dogs are pretty incredible, but yeah, they've been trained to pick up whatever the scent is. They're able to smell it. So yeah, we're definitely Miami Heat fans. I I used to live in Miami, so after college, I lived here for 6 years, and so I started my career at Google here, and so I feel like I've always been a Heat fan, and I never really switched teams too much, but
And they've been good for a while. I mean, they were in the championship
yeah,
last year, and they had that great run in '06 with D Wade, and yeah, so
exactly,
I feel like
exactly.
they're back, and they have a really young team, and they'll be good for a while now. So
Yeah,
good time to be
yeah.
a fan.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Brooklyn Nets though are really crushing it though. They have an amazing team.
yeah, they've got their own like super team up there. So I
Yeah,
guess you kind of have both teams, right? You can say
yeah,
you like represent both. Oh, yeah,
yeah. Between both.
yeah. And are there any other initiatives or anything else going on at Lyft that you'd like to talk about? I know you're, director of culture and entertainment. So are there any like trends going on or anything that you want to talk about as far as Lyft as a whole?
Yeah, I think one of the other things that's really important to us right now is, which I kind of touched on a little bit, is our self health and safety initiatives. And so we're just really making sure that both riders and drivers feel safe and are safe when they take a lift. So, early on in COVID, we launched a bunch of things that drivers could use in the car to make sure that it's safe, whether it's a partition or, having like antibacterial wipes and things like that. Um, and now there's even more that is going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. But it's definitely a top priority of ours to make sure that both drivers and riders are safe in the car.
Yeah, and are you requiring like passengers to wear the mask as well and to maybe crack the window? I guess the driver has to crack the window in the back seat.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's both drivers and riders have to wear a mask. Nobody can sit in the front seat with the driver, as in the past you could sit in the front seat. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of other protocols in place. Again, like when you go to call the car, there's a bunch of questions that you have to sort of check off. Um, so yeah, it's definitely something that's really important to us, and making sure that people are able to see that. So in the influencer world, highlighting stories of people taking Lyft, wearing their masks, telling that story of the health and safety story.
Nice, nice. Um, so we have a few questions from the audience. I guess we can go into that.
Cool.
Yeah. What can you speak to how your demographic of users has changed over the last 5 years?
Um, Over the last 5 years is hard for me because I've only been at Lyft for 3 years, but I think, I
Maybe
think,
4 years. I guess we could
yeah,
quantify this a little bit.
yeah, I think, you know, Lyft started out as sort of like this like quirky, fun loving, you know, brand. When it first started, it had a pink mustache. That's what Lyft was known for.
Yeah,
And
I
so
remember that.
yeah, so and the drivers would fist bump you and things like that. And I think over the years, like that's definitely changed a little bit. We dropped the mustaches and but we're still this fun brand. And I think over the years, we've really attracted a wider audience because of that. And I think now, like what I was saying before, with COVID, we were attracting people who normally would take public transportation, and so I think that that's something that hopefully will continue to stay after we get through this.
That's a great answer. And we have another one here. What can brands learn from newer digital first brands when it comes to authentically marketing to Gen Z? I know you mentioned you guys are working with TikTok a lot. And then also, what platforms are you on, or do you spend a lot of time on also?
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, like marketing to Gen Z, I think for us, like with Lyft, you have to be 18 or older to take a Lyft. And so we definitely are Gen Z is important. Obviously, we just launched our TikTok. I think that it it's an what I was saying about TikTok before is that it's allowed us to experiment and be playful and respond in ways that we'd never responded before. We on the TikTok channel, we're commenting back to TikTok users when they are making comments on our posts, and I think it's something that like we just historically like haven't done, and so we're able to be playful, and I think by doing this, like it attracts more Gen Zs because we are authentic. We're being real. We're talking to them, instead of just trying to listen to them and marketing to them. Like we're talking with them on TikTok. So I think that's something that's important. And I think for my channels, I am still an Instagrammer. I love Instagram stories. I am on TikTok, but I'm not good at creating content on TikTok, but I peruse
Yeah.
TikTok a lot. I just think I don't know. I don't have that skill set to be able to edit the videos, and it's just hard for me. Like, give me a static post on Instagram, I can do that any day, but it's yeah. I love the content on TikTok though, so I'm constantly like scrolling through it and like looking at the For You page all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I feel like it does take a little bit more of like, not an effort, but like a skill to be able to like hear the music with everything. And, I'm kind of in the same boat where it's like you can get lost on TikTok just scrolling through for 20,
Right,
30 minutes, like looking at the content,
right,
it's so addicting.
right.
And then as a brand too, it's like you're communicating with your customers so quickly, right? With the back and forth. It's not like the old days where it was like, oh, send an email or even like a public tweet. It's you're getting
Yeah,
that feedback so much quicker
yeah,
nowadays.
yeah. And also something else that's really interesting about TikTok is we have a lot of drivers on there. So there's a lot of drivers that are creating content about driving for Lyft, which is super interesting. And we've been able to get in touch with a lot of these drivers and repurpose their content on our channels. And I mean, it's amazing content. And so when we're talking to the community there, it's not just our riders, it's also our drivers, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's actually part of your job. Actually, you can say, I'm scrolling through TikTok and I'm looking for our driver for this campaign.
Right,
I
right,
mean, do you
right.
guys have like specific drivers that you follow, or is it just kind of like how it pops up basically on like a feed? Do you guys just kind of catch it when they do something?
Yeah, yeah. The social team has really been, um, tracking this and following, hashtags and things like that. And so, yeah, they've been monitoring this for a couple months now.
Oh, that's great. Okay. I
Yeah,
always wonder how sometimes they find these people like the dog
yeah.
face, the ocean spray cranberry guy, who,
Right,
well,
exactly.
yeah, being on a skateboard and drinking ocean spray. So we'll have another Lyft driver do something like that.
Yeah,
That'd be nice, right?
right.
Um, and we have another question from the audience. Having a purpose-driven element to your business, whether fighting civil injustice, climate change, etc., is important to younger consumers. So how has this shifted the way your company considers purpose-driven marketing?
Yeah. So, you know, to be honest, we've always done purpose-driven marketing. So whether it was, our carbon emissions announcement, or when we donated uh, bike memberships, because we own City Bike and a lot of the other bike shares. When we donate bike memberships to underserved youth, in partnership with LeBron James, like we're always doing these sort of actions, and it's so important for us not just to say that we're going to do something, or say that we're getting behind some sort of social justice movement, but actually like commit to it with our superpower of transportation. And so I think um, that's what you've seen from us over the past couple years. So um, you know eh, with COVID, we'll go back to the beginning of COVID. We immediately said that we were going to give transportation to essential workers. So whether it was bike memberships, or transportation to deliver PPE, we were giving transportation to help out communities that needed. Then with the elections, we had a national discount code to get everybody who wanted to take a ride to the polls a discounted ride. And we also partnered with organizations such as More Than a Vote, and various celebrities and influencers to give free rides to communities that needed rides to the polls the most. So again, like just this purpose driven marketing, like not just saying, okay, we're supporting, um, you know, helping people during elections, but actually like doing something about it. And then of course, like what I mentioned before about vaccine access, like we're doing that again, really this purpose driven marketing, and making an impact.
Yeah, and how does that work? Do you have like a promo code that you basically give out to people who need a ride, and then they can basically use that promo code for a one-time ride to get a vaccine or to go vote? I guess I'm just curious how it worked with that.
Yeah, there's actually going to be a hub that launches where people will be able to, again through like United Way, be able to receive exactly like a ride code.
Got it. Great.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. That was amazing. So glad to have you both here. And I really appreciate your time.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Betty, and thanks for having